Panasonic, I feel like, is trying to steal a little bit of thunder from Canon. And so I got to be honest with you. I have always known the presence of Panasonic, but I don't think that I've ever really did a deep dive on it, primarily because of the sensor size. And so I want to know your thoughts on Panasonic, because rumor, you shoot a little bit Panasonic, or you've shot on Panasonic?
I shot on Panasonic. My very first camera, my intro to video was on the OG, the camera that changed everything, which was the GH4.
The GH4, yeah.
Yes, it was the GH4. I knew nothing about color grading. I butchered that log profile.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting camera. And then I've shot on the GH5, which was a great camera too. I skipped the GH6. I wasn't interested in the GH6 stuff, but there's a new one out now that just got released.
Marcus, tell me what excites you about the GH7.
I mean, it's feature packed. Like, from what I've seen on YouTube and some of the stuff, the articles, it just feels like a very like nicely built camera. Like everything Panasonic has, they threw into this camera.
I heard if you're a GH6 owner, you cannot tell a difference in the body. It's all on the inside.
Yeah, it's the guts. But also, in the autofocusing, I'm hearing that was like one of the biggest changes in this camera.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think official specs are 25 megapixels, CMOS Micro Four Thirds sensor, which I got to be honest, like for me, that's almost immediate. This might be a hot take. It's an almost immediate no-go.
Because of the sensor?
Yeah, because of the sensor size. Like, my first camera, Canon Rebel T2i, Super 35, and the moment I stepped up to the 5D Mark III full frame, it wasn't until my C70 that I went backwards. It's not going backwards, but went down to a smaller deal. Yeah. So I can't even imagine a Micro Four Thirds. Okay. Especially for the stuff that I shoot.
Okay.
So with you shooting on the GH4 and the GH5, what were things that you shot that allowed you to be able to use that size of sensor?
I mean, weddings, which was horrible.
Were you feeling cramped?
Yeah.
Were you running a 5mm?
It was the light. It just wasn't a great camera for low light.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. And I discovered that the hard way. So, I wouldn't necessarily use that camera for that, but I'm hearing that the GH7, like it fixed a lot of those issues.
That's
like,
cool.
With the low light.
What lens focal range did you have?
Oh, they're 12 to 35.
Okay.
Which is like a 24 to 70.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the lens was like this big. So it was that. And then the stabilization that was in there. It was a cool camera.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I feel like for me, I shoot a lot of real estate. And I always need the maximum that I can get out of the sensor to make the houses seem as big as they can. And so with that being said, I know that you can drop down to even, wider focal lengths depending on the sensor. But that full frame aesthetic I've always loved. And so that's another thing. It looks like you can do 4K 60.
Yeah.
Unlimited recording, which is kind of dope. And then what else? ProRes RAW.
Internal.
Oh, you know what excited me most about the GH7? I'm not going to lie. 32-bit float.
32-bit float.
Audio.
No other camera's doing that.
Which is like, I felt the same way. I feel like I said that maybe in the last stream, like nobody else is doing it. I don't know. Maybe somebody else is doing it. No, but not like this.
Now. No, no camera in that price bracket, hybrid body style. I don't think any other camera's doing that. So
I feel like they threw everything at this camera. Like you have an RE log firmware. Like I just feel like they just like anything like ProRes RAW, anything they could license and put in here to be like the ultimate camera.
Yeah.
Like they did it.
Intro camera because like they can still push out a ton of firmware updates that can probably give you other log profiles and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just think now, again, like you mentioned real estate, like this may not be the real estate camera, but for people that are shooting narrative, I don't know. I think that this may be a pretty nice option. Yeah, it's Micro Four Thirds, but there's speed boosters and all that good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like and this is not a dig, especially if you're Panasonic on here and you feel like they're winning. Honestly, though, I feel like if you start on Panasonic and you don't know any difference between Super 35, full frame, medium format, like you never had, then you don't know. Yeah. And so like you could easily start on Micro Four Thirds.
Yeah.
I'm sure the image is incredibly dope. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like it could just be, especially at that price point of what, like $2,200?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is an incredible camera.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I've always shot Super 35. Always. I had one full frame camera in my entire life. And it doesn't bother me, to be honest. I know a lot of people like you, per se, this full frame guy. And I started off as a photographer, so I get the difference there, but it just never really bothered me to shoot on a Super 35 camera. Or the Micro Four Thirds issue with me was just the math.
Yeah.
Always trying to find the equivalent focal distance, and it's just used to drive me nuts. So, just move on to Super 35, and the math is easier to figure out. And it just worked out better. But this is a fire camera.
That's dope. Let's see what some of the people in the comments are saying. We got Travis, our editor, in here. Panasonic needed a W. Yeah, that's right. They needed a W after maybe the last camera. We're not gonna
talk about
the last camera was.
We're not gonna talk about that one.
But okay. So Brandon says not at all. Two different cameras. Happy for both brands. Very interested in the C400 as a C70 owner. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Canon C400 on that next topic. Really got some mixed feelings about it, but definitely want to talk about that and see what's going on with that. What else is there? Okay. Little bit of heat. Panasonic came out swinging, but still a lightweight. It's so hard because I feel like while I am very biased towards Canon, I feel like I know that I'm biased towards Canon. And so we were talking about this in the last stream, but it almost feels like I can't even like get up in the morning for another camera brand.
Damn.
I can't even like,
Jesus.
I can't even like, this GH7 seems like it's a really cool camera.
Okay.
But can I like,
so
what is my care? Oh, this is a perfect example. What is your care meter from 0 being uninterested, 10 being I am going to go buy this, I'm going to pre-order the camera today? Let's be honest, Marcus.
But why does it have to be that? Why does it have to be?
Because the people want to know.
But why can't I just like the camera? Like I don't have to go buy it.
I want to know. I want to know how much do you like it?
If I didn't have a camera?
No.
But if I have a camera, what difference does it make? I'm not going to go buy it anyway.
So
like, I wouldn't
so
buy
where you at?
Any camera right now. Like,
okay, you're not going to buy it. That's fair. So what's your rating then? 0, not interested at all at buying it. Or 10, you're buying it today, pre-ordering today.
I'm very much at a 10 interested in shooting with it.
But what about
I'm
buying it?
10. I won't buy any camera.
Okay, that's fair. But, okay, this is your next camera.
It won't be that. No, it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be that. My next camera has to be like a production workhorse type of
C400. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk.
No, yeah. DM colorist. I know what you mean. Like I know that I'm biased, but I can recognize this is an incredible camera, and I think it's more than a lightweight camera. I think it's I think that I love it when Blackmagic, I love it when Sony, I love it when all of these Panasonic, when y'all make something that's fire, you guys push the industry forward.
Yeah.
And it makes everybody better. Everybody is like I'm hoping for 32-bit float in every camera, starting with Canon.
But you know what? Panasonic used to be known for that. Because when the GH5 came out, when the GH5 came out, there was no other camera that was doing 10-bit. It was like the GH5, the Fuji, I think it was like the XT3, but Sony wasn't doing 10-bit.
Yeah.
Canon wasn't doing 10-bit.
Yeah.
So Panasonic was known to be that industry disturber at one point.
And it's wild too, because like 8-bit, because it was the norm for so long, people were like, you know, it's fine. Whatever. Like, don't really touch those sliders. Yeah. Like it's.
But but another thing, like LUTs weren't pushed.
Yeah.
Like they are now. Back then, it's like you gonna stick to the color that's in that camera.
100%.
Maybe
do it
add
right.
Some contrast.
Do it right.
About it. But now, you know,
that
the LUTs are out.
That 10-bit, I gotta be honest with you. Like, by no means is it anywhere close to raw, but I almost had to figure out how to like my own standards in color grading. Yeah. Because I would be like, I can push the color just a little bit, or I can push the shadows just a little bit, or the highlights before it fell apart.
Yeah.
So when I moved to 10-bit, I was finding myself doing these like micro adjustments.
And you
feeling like I feel like I can't. Like I can't. And then I realized one day, like I dragged the shadows over, I dragged the highlights over, or I pushed some contrast into it, and it was so dope. So anyways, all that to say, 10-bit has really changed stuff. So I'm looking forward to 12 and maybe one day 16.
But it's still to say, like, a camera like this, for me, this is how I see it, is like, okay, maybe the GH7 isn't for me, but what Panasonic is doing is setting the precedence for what's to come.
Oh yeah.
You know, so their next full frame cameras are going to be crazy.
Oh yeah.
So anyone that's into full frames, like, I would get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. I wonder what they'll be able to do with, like, because I feel like the bigger the sensor, the more the overheating, like the different things. But anyways, we see Scotty V on here.
Scotty V.
He says, hey, Marcus, hey, Jarrell, Scotty V, had your back, push that Canon. Bought a C400 yesterday. That's dope, man. That's really dope.
Wait a minute, he bought it?
He said he pre-ordered it.
Pre-ordered it?
Yep. Oh, so Sky, we see the stabilization on the GH7. I watched, I can't remember whose I watched. I think I watched Jarrell and Dunn's GH7 and his stabilization. What did I think about the stabilization? I thought it was pretty good. To be fair, he said he was like speed walking, I think.
Yeah.
And so it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smaller
and it's got
sensor.
several different levels of stabilization. So that's pretty dope.